Morning. This is CareerForce and More for Employers, Session 8. The last episode, you could say, in our 8-week session. Today, we're going to pull it all together. Just as a reminder, this series has been a way to get small bits of information about all of the resources that we have available for you, the business, the employer, the recruiter. It's intended to fit into your calendar every month or every week with just 25 minutes. Gives you an overview of all of our websites, both careerforcemn.com, a little bit about minnesotaworks.net, and a little bit about Deed. You can find all of the information and the recordings on our subpage at CareerForce and More for Employers. So over the past 8 weeks, we started with the overview, the top 5 pages for employers. Next week, we went on to talk about job fairs and hiring resources, tip sheets, and calendars. Then talked a lot more in depth about MinnesotaWorks.net and how it's our no-cost labor exchange within the United States for the state of Minnesota. Then we invited our veterans, our disability hiring from VRS, and our workforce strategy consultant representatives to talk about kind of the specialized hiring help that they can provide you. Then we covered labor market information and data that you can get from both CareerForce MN and from the Deeds website, along with business development in case some of your coworkers in your department are interested in more business financing, investment funds, training funds, other programs that are administered by our economic development half of Deed. Then we heard a little bit about justice-involved hiring, federal bonding program through the United States, how that works, and the work opportunity tax credit. Last week, we covered youth training resources and a few on-the-job training programs, just a few of the youth services resources and working with youth in your company. So today, I have taken all of the questions that are have been posted in the form. Remember that I had a form that some of you used to obtain the link. And so I pulled out some of the questions that people had typed. Maybe one of them is your question. And, just did a little editing. And really, these are some of the questions that I and my colleagues on the CareerForce Information Assistance line hear on a fairly regular basis. So you could say it's the top 5 questions. And I'm going to go through them and just point out a few of the resources that we have on CareerForce or how we can provide that information for you. So the first question was, I'm interested in the recruiting aspects of HR, unemployment, job postings, HR certifications, benefits, and whatever else there is to learn in my position. And I do hear this question from people, especially when they're being asked to move into the recruiting in the HR field. Maybe they've been doing something else within the company, something that didn't have anything to do with recruiting or HR work. So this is fairly common. Some of the HR resources that we have are, the start of them are at the Attract Talent page. So you go to the 4 employers across the top, go to the pull down menu, or you could just click on 4 employers. You get to the page, and then on the right-hand side, there's always this search navigation. Go to Attract Talent, and then Get Started. At that Get Started page, there's some verbiage about the importance of having a good plan, and then there are links. There are links on developing a workforce plan. There's links on using a tool to help us develop position descriptions, because if you haven't really written one of those before, there's some art and some science to descriptions. You can meet employees in a career fair, some of the career fair calendars that we've talked to. There's a hiring checklist and another one. And there is an article that one of our workforce strategy consultants had written about a year on writing effective job postings. In addition to that, we have our federal partners who run the CareerOneStop Business Center. And one fun fact is the CareerOneStop team is actually based in Minnesota, but they cover all of the federal resources. And so if you can go to the careeronestop.org/business center, and then you'll see across the top, it says recruit and hire, train and retain, or toolkit. So dig around in that, and there's a lot of good resources. Lastly, I always recommend, if you aren't already a member, to join SHRM, Society of Human Resource Management. Minnesota has a very strong chapter, and you may already have your company as an HR member. If you had someone who just recently left a position, maybe that their membership has been retained, but they have a lot of great support. So anyone new, I always recommend SHRM along with all of our resources. And here's the other reminder too, to take a look at our Minnesota Unemployment Insurance page, uimn.org, not gov. Under employers, they have information about shared work. And that's a little bit of a niche program that oftentimes human resource people don't know about. But if your VP says, oh no, we might have to do a layoff, well, if you have enough time to plan, there are alternatives. There are shared work things. I don't know all the details, but I can direct you to the UI information that talks about it, and I can direct you to others within Indeed who can help you on that. There is also a video library, and check under the employer and agents for more details on navigating your employer account and finding out more about the UI system. And lastly, YouTube. All of our young people in our world go to YouTube when they want to learn something, name your topic. And so we're no different. Look for either Deed Minnesota, all one word, or CareerForce MN. And then this is where we are posting all of these videos, and you can just, when you've run out of Netflix, you can watch YouTube in the evenings. Just joking. But there really are a lot of great resources about all of our programs. Our next question. What other opportunities exist to get in front of candidates? This question we hear a lot because you're trying to expand your reach. Perhaps for the past 20 years, your company has relied on an excellent word of mouth network. Your employees believe in your company and they want to recruit their family and friends, and that has sufficed up to this point. But now, times are changing, labor pools are changing, and you need to expand your reach just a little bit. One thing that I've said a number of times is the Meet Your Regional team. And we have met a number of companies where perhaps up to this point, they hadn't really considered what it would be to hire someone with disabilities. And remember, when we say disabilities, it could be visible or invisible. So PTSD, mental health, um, an autoimmune disease, anything that maybe just with working with you would really open up doors for you and open up doors for possibilities for them, the job seeker. But then, of course, we have the our veterans team, our special populations, our justice involved, um, and so many other populations to consider. So it's always worth starting with connecting with our meet your regional team. But then, in addition to that, on CareerForce MN, we have a partners list. And I've put that link in the chat. You can find it too by going into the chat and just typing partners list, and that will come up in the search. And then I believe it's at the very, very bottom. If you scroll all the way down to the careerforcemn.com page, down to the footer, it says meet our partners is one of the choices. But when you get to this list, you type in your zip code. And so in this case, I typed in 56301, which is zip code, St. Cloud, and 17 partners came up. Those partners include Avivo of St. Cloud, which is a nonprofit, St. Cloud Somali Youth Organization, the TRICAP, which is the Tri-County Action Program, RISE in St. Cloud, Career Solutions. All of these organizations provide job search assistance and training and programs to job seekers. And I know in my experience, when I've talked to many people at community-based organizations, there's always one employee who is in charge of like job development, you could say, employer engagement, or keeping an eye on which opportunities would be a right fit for all of their job seeking clients. So that's why I bring up using the partners list, starting your own community partners database within your company. Who are some of those people who you can say, hey, we're hiring now. Here's our latest job posting. Maybe you've already had one, maybe you do, expand it. So for instance, I pulled out this one, and I clicked in the top right corner, right here on TriCap. Then it gives me a larger description of what they do, who they are, what their mission is, and then their contact information, their main line, their general email, their website, and their location. So that's easy for you to pull out that information, contact them to see if that's appropriate to develop a relationship with any of the community-based organizations in your area. We have many openings. How do I find more ways to fill them faster? We know this is a huge issue. And some of the things I think is, well, there's two cases. There's two issues with this question. Is it the micro process within your company? Does that need to run faster? Or is it the larger issue that you have a number of openings and that you just need to get these openings out and get people aware of them on a faster basis? So over the past couple of years, some of our teams have pulled together information into articles on how to help you recruit. So one big one, and I've mentioned this before, is the Workforce Optimization Cycle series that the Workforce Strategy Consultant team wrote. I've put some of the links here in the chat. And one of the articles was 3 steps long-term care employers can take to help recruit employees. This article specifically was written by one of our workforce partners from Monarch Health, and she wrote it specifically for Healthcare Month. However, I think reading it, you'll find that a lot of those steps are applicable to all industries. Steps include if you go to a job fair and, quite honestly, many of the job fairs haven't had um, a lot of attendees. So with that, you can take a little bit longer time to talk with someone who stops by your table. And can you do kind of a pre-screening interview? Maybe you've already done that. How does that work? Does it work out all right? Say, hey, I think just by talking to you, I think you're a pretty good candidate to elevate to the next level. And then grab their contact information, make sure that they have yours. Maybe bring a laptop to that job fair and have them fill out kind of a modified application right then and there at the job fair. And so you immediately get their contact information. I do acknowledge that everyone, including us, say that sometimes people just don't respond to our emails. And yeah, I see that all over our country or all over our state and cities with people not responding, no matter what it is, whether it's workforce or something totally unrelated in our private lives. Um, but we push ahead. We get their contact information. We follow up immediately. We ask for a number to text them. Have you done both on-site interviews and virtual on-site interviews to hold online interviews? Um, I still think that there's a place for virtual events, even though we're so grateful now to be going back to in-person meetings. But even, in the case of this webinar right now, um, this way you didn't have to drive anywhere outside of your desk. And, we were able to share some of this information. So my point is, how can you mix up both having online interviews and in person? Have you done a gap analysis within your company to shorten that process? Do you know exactly within your hiring process what it takes and where there's opportunities to really say, hey, let's get this person in a little bit more quickly? Another question. Um, how do I contact workforce people in our county? And I'd say this is more of a higher level question. I don't hear it as much. Um, but you know what? There's a huge number of staff across the state in volunteer boards that really do want to work with you. In Minnesota, we have what's called the Minnesota Association of Workforce Boards. They receive funding from federal sources called Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which helps them put on and many of the workforce programs that we have throughout our state. Every single county, or a couple, in some cases, counties collaborate, have a workforce development board. And those workforce development boards are made up of business appointees or business members, public-private partnerships. So ABE programs often will have someone. There'll be another type of an education representative. And then I believe that there are some people from at-large along with another workforce development board. And they collectively really make sure that Minnesota's workforce systems are working. I'll get to that page. I have a little bit more information, but just want to point out we have a map of Minnesota. We've got links on our Workforce Development Boards page so that you can contact the team in your county. These are some of the nonprofits that collaborate with the Workforce Development Boards or hold the development boards. Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Service, Workforce Development Board of Southeast Minnesota, the Northeast Minnesota Workforce Development Board, Northeast Minnesota Office of Jobs and Training, Career Solutions, and Southwest. And there are a couple of more in addition to this. Here's the page I just was mentioning, the workforce boards provide input and direction for meeting all of the workforce development goals as outlined by federal and state statute. And then local board members act as leaders in their communities to make connections amongst multiple stakeholders and leverage resources to bolster the effectiveness of our systems. So some of the organizations that I just mentioned, so like CMJTS and Career Solutions and JET, some of the programs that they do to, help support these programs are addressing the shortage of skilled workers through career pathway programs, expand partnerships with local school districts, increase employer engagement through sector-based partnerships. So I really do encourage you to get in touch, and you can always attend meetings. Meetings are open to the public. You can ask when their next meeting is. You can sit and observe. You can have conversations with all of their members. And this leads me to my last question. How can our company be more recognized as a true partner of CareerForce in terms of hiring? And I've heard this more and more lately. When a company first starts out, you know, and many of you were at this part, just recently. First, we say, well, start with creating a MinnesotaWorks.net account so that you can post your jobs free, no charge, and that you can search job seekers' resumes. You can use all of our CareerForceMN.com and our Deed online resources, and you can post your hiring events. So that's your basic level. Intermediately, then, we invite you to participate in regional job fairs. We always want you to stay in touch with us about your job openings. Let us know, let the CareerForce locations in your area, let them know. Have conversations, set up a time to talk for 15, 30 minutes, whatever, to ask them what they're hearing, what they're seeing, what their job seekers are looking for, and let them know what you're looking for. Kind of develop that relationship a little bit more strongly. And then keep going with attending some of these webinars, the Workforce Wednesdays, roundtables in your area when they're held, industry events. But then our hope really is to become a really strong partner of the CareerForce and the workforce system. We'd hope that you'd start to develop career pathway programs in your company with the vocational rehabilitation system or with the workforce development boards, or work on second chance hiring with our team or veterans. Maybe you work with veterans and then you become Beyond the Yellow Ribbon partner with them. And then you participate in youth services, second chance hiring, apprenticeships you develop in your organization, or inclusive workforce programs that are being set up in the Northwest and central Minnesota and other regions. And then, hopefully down the line, you'll mentor other businesses. And then the ultimate partner would truly become a county workforce development board member and present at regional initiatives. It's been really fascinating and thrilling when, employers that we've worked with have gone onto a board, and then we know that you have enough new initiatives that you've tried and have been successful. And then we say, hey, would you come over and present now at this webinar? Let's share some information with others who are just starting this process. So that's what I think of when I think of being a partner with the CareerForce and the workforce system, and I hope that you take those steps. So just know that at the bottom of every CareerForce MN page, there's a footer, has this information. It has submit a success story. We'd love to hear from you when you've hired someone who's been a success that you met through CareerForce. You can comment on our website. We welcome comments, and we get that information to our IT people. You can create an employer profile, and with the new MinnesotaWorks.net software system that will be coming in sometime in the next year, we hope that these employer profiles will be used more robustly in conjunction with that new software. Here's the link to meet our partners that I mentioned, connect to our services, and browse some of our VINs. So thank you, everyone who's attended all of these sessions. I really appreciate you being here. Please always send me feedback. You can contact me, or you can contact the CareerForce Information Assistance line at any time, and we're here for you. So take care.